All right, guys, we're going to get started. So tonight we're going to be doing lead gen, which kind of got interrupted last week with a power outage in my building. So hopefully we're going to be fine. We're doing it from my house. Someone was on earlier and said it looked like it was at a hotel. Thank you. So anyway, tonight we're going to do a deep dive into lead generation, but a couple things first before we get started. Some housekeeping notes. First of all, I do have cats that run around, and they may get into the screen. I just throw them. Don't worry about it. I ask that you have your camera on. That way I know you're engaged. If your camera's off, it tells me you're not engaged. You're doing something else. It is entirely up to you. I feed off the energy of everybody on the call. So it really helps me when I see faces. I will ask you questions. I will say, Amari, what are your thoughts on this? I will say, Amber, what about this? So stay engaged because I'm going to be asking you questions. It's important. This is the most important part of your business. There is nothing more important than lead generation, because without lead generation, you are not going to be successful in this business. So we're going to spend 2 hours together. We'll get a break. I'll do about a 10-minute break, probably at about the 50-minute mark. And we have 10 minutes to do whatever you need to do. Ask questions, okay? Please do. Ask questions, all right? So let's get started. So tonight, we're doing that deep dive into generating your leads. You know, it's really important to understand a real estate agent is an expert, but you have to become that expert. And you do that through a few things. You do that through lead generation. You do it through lead follow-up. Tonight, we're going to talk about generating your leads. You've already done grow your database, I believe, last Wednesday evening. So we're going to talk about, the generation aspects of it. This is the model. So we're going to talk about lead generator, the lead generation model, your sphere of influence, expanding your SOI, lead gen best practices. We're going to recap. We're going to blow past the success system and move on to other stuff. Who wants to read this quote for me?
My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The head of our company was afraid of lead generating. I don't know who has this book. Page 52. From the distance, I thought lead generation was really difficult. But after I diligently applied myself to it for a reasonable amount of time, I began to see that it was quite easy and even could be fun. I don't know about that. I was confusing effort with enjoyment. I also thought I was going to be too busy and didn't have time to lead generate. However, as I focused on doing it every day, I discovered it wasn't an issue of having time, but an issue of making time and then protecting that time. That's critical. So many times we find people that say they want to do lead gen, but they don't know how to do lead gen, or they don't take the time to do lead gen. So 6 core competencies of a business. Who wants to read the first one for me? How about you, Amber?
Lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments.
What do you think that means? Anybody?
Not only talking to someone, but also getting in maybe a buyer or a seller appointment with them.
Absolutely. When you generate leads, when you have leads and you generate them, you have to capture them and convert them to appointments. Because you have leads doesn't mean anything. It's what you do with them after you get them. I don't know how many have heard the term that if you have 200 contacts in your database, you work those 200 contacts, you'll make $125,000 next year. I want to repeat that. If you have 200 contacts in your database that you work with smart plans, you will make $125,000 next year. Now, in this room right now, how many of you How many of you are going to commit to that? We're going to talk about that, because if you commit to that a year from now, I want you to come back to me and show me what you made, because you can do it. It's just making the time, planning the time, or as I call it, focus time to do the work. All right. How about Amari? Read number 2 for me.
Present to buyers and sellers and get agreement.
Okay. What do you think that means, just in general?
Well, while you after you're going through your listing presentations and buyer appointments, you get them to consent to you and convert.
Absolutely. Presenting to your buyers and sellers and getting agreement gets you further along in your business, develops your business. It is so important. And I talk about this all the time in coaching. Make sure that you have your pre-listing filled out. Make sure you have your buyer's presentation filled out. Don't call your PC coach. Don't call your team lead on Friday night and say, help, I need a listing presentation, or help, I need a buyer's presentation. Work on it now. Get it done now while you're just getting started in the business. Let's see, who's next here? I'm missing somebody. I can't see your name. Young lady with glasses. There are a couple of you. I can't see who it is. It's not giving me your name. How about Roy? Why don't you go ahead? Because I can't get her name, and I don't know if she knows who I am. Roy, why don't you go ahead with number 3?
Show buyers and market sellers.
Right. What does that mean? Anybody? Or Roy, go ahead. You want to show buyers, you can show houses, and you want to market to sellers. So it's 2 sides of the business. You can work both sides. Don't let anybody tell you that you can only, as a new agent, you can only work buyers. It's Stephanie. Now I see her. Okay, now I got the name. All right. Stephanie, why don't you do number 4 for me?
Write and negotiate contracts.
Simple. What's that mean?
Means you submit contracts and negotiate them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Understanding how to do that. Talking to your client and being a real estate professional, show them how you're able to work a contract in their favor, both as the buyer and the seller. Charity, why don't you go next?
Coordinate the sale to closing.
What do you think that means?
Keep on top of things until the closing actually happens.
Boom, boom, boom. So many times, guys, agents think they get it under contract and their job is done. The job is just beginning. Trust me, it is just beginning. Every single contract that you have will be very different. I know agents who have been in this business 15, 20 years that tell me the same thing. You know, Steve, no deal is ever the same. So many things can come up over the course of a closing. I'm sorry, under a contract that will destroy a deal. And a lot of times it's because the agent did not stay on top of it. I've seen it over and over and over. Next one, Raymond. Have you read that? Raymond, go ahead, my man.
Manage the money,
What do you think that means?
having a budget, doing all the things, being a good steward to your money.
I love that. I love that. Being a good steward for your money. Listen, what's going to happen to you guys, those of you that are brand new agent, what's going to end up happening? Everybody's going to want your credit card number. Everybody's going to want to sell you something. Everybody's going to tell you they have the best of whatever it is. We have the best lead generation system. We have the best this. We have the best marketing. Don't pull out your credit card. Talk to your PC, talk to your broker, talk to your team lead, talk to somebody that's mentoring you. Find out how to manage your money. Make sure. Have a P&L. I would say probably in my program, I have 33 people in coaching. I would say maybe 3 have a P&L statement. And what's going to end up happening in December, in January, they're going to go, oh my Lord, how am I going to pay my taxes? So manage your money. It's critical. All right, I love this. Lead generation fears and myths. Sharon, why don't you go? Give me the first one.
I think lead generation is really difficult.
What do you think? Is it?
As long as you get over the hump of being nervous about it and not really knowing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Is lead gen difficult?
I
know
think
some
it
of you
is a little
just can-
bit.
I'm sorry?
I think it is a little bit.
Okay, in what way?
Just knowing how to do it, like
Okay.
the avenues to take. So like I have I have contacts in my database,
Mhm.
but I know the majority of them aren't looking to buy a house or don't know anyone.
Okay.
So it's
So
like,
what-
what do I do now?
Okay, so I'm gonna throw Yvonne on the spot. Hey, Yvonne, how you doing? What is lead gen difficult? What do you do with somebody that's not really looking to buy right now? You're on mute, by the way. Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, not hearing you. We'll see. Yeah, you're not coming through, so we'll come back to you. All right. I don't have time to lead generate. Hear that one all the time. I hear that every single day. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Well, here you go, guys.
I never know what to say.
Well, we're gonna talk about that. I think lead generation is really difficult. It's confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. I don't have time to lead generate. I have an issue of making time to lead generate and protecting that time. Absolutely truth. I don't know what to say. I had to get on the path of mastering the dialogue skills needed in this business. I'm afraid of making mistakes. I hear that a lot. I found that lead generation is nothing more than a set of tasks and skills that are well documented. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Lead generation is not tough. It really isn't. It's just having a mindset to do it on a daily basis. And I'm going to talk about that. There's a guy in North Carolina, and forgive me, I forgot his name. He taught Bold a few years ago now. And he absolutely hated lead gen. And he was running a team that was doing, I want to say, close to 80 million a year. A big team. And so we said to him, well, you hate us so much, what do you do? He goes, I lock myself in the office on Mondays from 8 a.m. until I've made 5 appointments for that week. If I'm done by 2, I come out of the office and greet everybody and have a good day. If I don't, I stay in there until I get it done because I hate it that much. I want to get it done in one day. I don't have time to lead generate. Hey, what I do is I have what's called focus time, 2 hours every day on my calendar. If you do not have it on your calendar, I'm telling you right now, you are not lead genning. You're doing it on the side. You're doing it when you have time. It is focused. It has to happen. 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. I guarantee you, if you do this 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, purposeful, you're going to make some money this year. If in December, you're still saying, I don't have time to lead generate, you may not be in real estate much longer. Think about that. I don't know what to say. There are tons of scripts out there. One of the things, and I'll invite you after this is over, I'll send you, I'm going to give you my email address. We have scripts every morning at 8:30 from till 8:45, 15 minutes. That's how we start our day at KW Annapolis. Every morning for 15 minutes, we have a script practice. It's been going on, I think the guy that's been running it, George McDowell's been running it for about 11 years. Monday through Friday, Just 15 minutes to get your day started. If that doesn't work for you, find somebody in your office, find someone in another office on this call right now that you could lead gen with. Half hour, 2 or 3 days a week. I'm sorry, learn how to use the scripts, excuse me. The bold scripts are all out there, and do that. Once you've learned those scripts, that really helps you knowing what to say. It really does. I'm afraid of making mistakes. I do it every day. Don't be afraid. I make mistakes every single day. It's okay to make mistakes. But we learn by making mistakes. We only get better by making mistakes. What is in baseball, a guy that is successful 3 out of 10 times makes millions. That's it. 3 out of 10 times. What does this look like here? Anybody?
SOI.
SOI, sphere of influence. On your phone right now, I'm sure each of you probably have 200, 300 contacts in your phone. That's your sphere of influence. These are the people that are going to get you started in real estate. I hear this all the time. You know, I don't want to do that to my friends. Do what to your friends? Not be a secret agent? Tell them that, you know, hey, look, I'm in real estate. Nothing wrong with doing that. My friends know when I come into a party, I do the same thing every time I walk into a party. I walk in and I say, I'm Steve Thomas. Anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? It's a joke now. Everybody says it along with me when I walk in the room. But guess what? Every single person knows I'm a real estate agent. Every single person. Can they say that about you when you go to someone's house, a party? You got to make sure that they know you're in real estate. There's ways to do that. You can do that on Facebook. It's easy. Using the 555. You don't know what that is, Google it. All right. I want you to take a look at this. This is your sphere of influence income. So if you have 250 contacts using this formula, it's in your participation guide, I believe. This shows you by formula how much money you can make off of just 250 contacts in your phone. Think about that. Who could use 225,000 next year? I know I can. And I know you can. So go through this exercise on your own. Take a look at how many contacts you have in your phone. Do the formula, and that's the money that you can make this coming year if you work your business. Your database is your SOI in the beginning. Now, a good PC coach, a good team leader, a good mentor is going to show you how to get other leads and more contacts outside of your SOI using prospecting tools like Remind, RPR are two that are my favorites that can help you expand your database. All right. Anything that I've talked about initially? Any thoughts about any of it? I like that. Simply, first part, it says one thing. You got to get your jersey dirty. You're not gonna be successful. You're sitting on the bench. So you got to get out there and you got to start lead genning. There's agents on this call that have been very successful in the past because they know how to lead gen. And you can be just as successful. All right, let's talk about what a lead generation model looks like. It's very simple. Lead generation starts with lead capture. There's prospecting and there's marketing, and they're very, very different. And we're going to talk about that. From the lead capture, they go into your funnel. And I always say only have 2 or 3 funnels at a time working. Anybody know what I mean by 2 or 3 different funnels that would like to share?
I'm guessing just 2 different sources, like maybe one Oh my. Sorry, hold on one sec.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Just 2 or 3 different sources where you're trying to generate leads, whether it's
Correct.
expireds, open houses. Don't try to do everything at once.
Absolutely, Stephanie. That is absolutely perfect. That's exactly what it's about. Too many times agents are all over the place. And they don't give anything one chance for a long enough period for it to be successful. And they just keep jumping around. They'll like, I'm going to work expireds, and they do 2 weeks ago. It's not working. I'm going to go after FSBOs. They go for 2 weeks and it doesn't work. Oh, I'm going to go after my neighborhood. It's not going to work, because it's 2 weeks. You have to give something time. And I'm a proponent of what's called the 12-week plan. And what that is, 12-week year. So what that means is in 12 weeks, I can accomplish what I can accomplish in a year if I concentrate on just 2 things for 12 weeks. And that's what you need to do. Pick 2 funnels, 3 at the most, and give it 12 weeks. Because that's when you're going to find it's going to be successful. Because if you work expireds, it's going to take you a week or 2 to figure out the language of expireds, how to find them, how to talk to them, and then starting those conversations. The same thing with FSBOs, the same thing with working your neighborhood. It takes time. So you pick a couple funnels and you work those funnels. And after 12 weeks, if you continue to work those funnels, you'll start seeing results. Now, you get in your database, you're going to have leads, which then you then form relationships, contacts, strengthen existing relationships. You cultivate the contacts for conversion. Conversion to what? To buying and selling. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. I'd say that, but it's not. Prospecting and marketing are the 2 lead generation activities that deliver leads in your business. Anybody know the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Prospecting is active, like you're actually doing it. Marketing is like kind of more passive, where you put yourself out there, but they still have to contact you.
Absolutely. And there's also another difference. Prospecting costs you 0.
Right.
Marketing costs you money.
Absolutely. And so that's the difference. Marketing is money intensive. It's passive. It will give you long-term results. So one of the things that you want to learn to do is to run your own Facebook ads through command. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out in your center, your PC coach, your team lead. Somebody's going to be able to teach you how to run those ads, your tech ambassador to run those ads. We've worked a deal with Facebook and Instagram, Meta, to cap it at $30 for 10 days. The ads to run on Facebook and run on Instagram. Now, what that does, it is passive, but has long-term results. What it's doing is it's putting your image and your message out there. Like some of the ads that I run, I'll get 1,000 impressions. 1,000 impressions for $30. So 1,000 people saw my image and my message. 200 people clicked through to the property that I was advertising or to the area I was advertising. And then from there, there's a lower rate, but gives you what you're called your leads, your actual leads, where they give you all your contact information. But part of that is building up your brand. And part of lead generation is not being that secret agent, that knowing who you are. So when they go to go get a realtor, they're going to go, man, who's that guy who was seeing all over Facebook the last 2 months? That's who they're going to call. Prospecting is time intensive, it's proactive, and you get immediate results. That's the biggest piece of it. That is the part of it. There's so many ways to prospect. Wearing your swag, your KW swag. I know agents that have gotten listings off of wearing a stupid KW hat. I've known agents who got listings because they had their KW lapel name tag on. I know an agent that got business because she dropped her key, and when the person picked up, they saw the name tag. Smart plans, staying in contact with your customers gives you immediate results. It really, really does if you work it, but you have to do it. Prospecting on a daily basis. All right, let's just stop for a second. Who prospects right now? And how are you prospecting? Let's take a kind of go off a little bit. Anybody doing prospecting at all?
So I'm a bartender.
Okay. That's
So I
great.
meet
That's
people.
great.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like I'm working and getting paid and I'm making connections and
Okay,
and
so
talking
how
to
what's your approach? What do you see? What do you give them a Campari and soda and say, I also sell on the side? What do you got?
It's a fairly small, so I live in like a fairly, like it's a touristy town, like it's a fairly smaller place. So I see a lot of regulars. So a lot of
Mhm.
times, and I've done it for a long time. So people come in like just to see me, or they know me, or it's just a smaller place. So it's fairly easy.
Okay.
To talk about it and ask how I'm doing or what I'm doing, and
Got it. Anybody else want to share how they lead? All you people with your cameras off? Okay. All right, folks, go ahead.
I'm a social person, so I like going to activities, community meetings, meetup kinds of things, and really talk to everybody, participate. And a lot of times before I can even give them my information, they're saying, can I get your name and number? And so
Right.
I'm handing out a million cards.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do it. I know agents in our office that work their community. Their community could be their church. You mentioned something that was brought up, meetups. I don't know how many people know about meetups. Google it. It's a great way to find people with common interest. For example, I like to go out and dance. And so there's a group for old farts like me that we meet up and we go to different places to go dancing. There's ones that for hiking. I belong to one for hiking. I'm sure that there's one for games. So look it up. It's a great way to get involved, get some social thing, but also spread who you are and what you do. Volunteer is another way to also do it. I have a friend up in Philadelphia that volunteers at a dog shelter and has gotten a lot of business out of it. And interesting enough, that's not why she got into it. She loves animals and cares for them, but has turned into a great piece of her business because of it. All right, let's talk about relationship management. A database is the container that holds the information of your leads and your contacts. A smart database allows you to have planned and meaningful communication with your database. So as you can see in our funnel here, we've got the leads, the contacts, and again, cultivating the contacts for conversation. Because you have a contact, you need to start the conversations. Smart plans are honestly one of the easiest ways to get that going. It really is. It's a smart way to do it, and it works really well, especially for those of you that don't like picking up the phone and making cold calls. And we're going to talk about a way around that as we move forward. Okay, somebody want to read this page for me? Who wants to go? Somebody better volunteer. I'm gonna call on you.
Quick question.
People who have earned the right to at least have one-way conversations with are the leads. The contacts, people you've held a two-way conversation with and whom you've established a value-based relationship with.
Okay, thank you very much, Akima. Okay, so what are some examples of leads that you can think of? Just in general. Where do you think you would find some leads?
Tammy at the bar said her sister was looking for a house in a neighborhood where you have a listing available, and she gave you her information, so you call her.
Absolutely. People who follow you on social media, those are leads. And that means Facebook. I mean, how many of you work your Facebook page or your personal page? You can work your personal business. There are so many ways to do it. One of the ways I do it is I use a Facebook group called for the love of old. I think it's for the love of old houses. Look it up. It is a great thing. And what they do is they post pictures of old houses all over the US. And one of the things I do is I post on my Facebook page, I can help you buy this house. And what happens is I'll get a DM from somebody. I'll go, Steve, that house is in Missouri. Absolutely. I can help you buy that house. And they go, okay. And then you explain to them how you can refer it out. But what it does, it starts a conversation. I've referred out between 7 and 9 over the last 4 years that I've gotten 25% of it. And what has happened is I've created raving fans. Those people, I have a friend that I helped her find an agent in New Orleans. And to this day, she is like, she's my raving fan. And she tells everybody, if he can sell my house in New Orleans, he can sell a house anywhere. It was in a rough area. But I found an agent who was willing to work it and take it on and do it. Contacts, as Akiva said, there are people we've had a two-way conversation with. Okay, so a lead is not a contact. A contact is somebody you've actually had a conversation with. So remember that. This is really important. Relationships have to be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. Does anybody know how many, what is the word I want to use? How many times you're supposed to contact a client according to command and smart plan and KW? Anybody know what the number is?
36 times a year.
Thank you very much. Exactly. So if you're not contacting your people in your database 36 times a year, they may not remember you. There's a thing in NAR that I think it's like 80% of the people that purchased or sold a property would have used the same agent if they remembered who they were. Think about that for a second. You got to care, you got to attend, and you got to cultivate the people in your database. It doesn't stop after it settles. After your transaction is settled, I know so many agents that go, "Shoot, I'm done. Thank God I'm done with that." That's where their mistake is. 10 days after settlement, you should be calling your client, both on the buy and the sell side. The buy side is, "Hey, Charlie, how's it going, man? How's the house going? Anything I can help you with?" "Oh, you know, Steve, a couple things that turned out, I think I'm going to need to remodel that kitchen." "You know what, Charlie, I got some great vendors. I'm going to reach out to them and have them get in contact with you." Now, do you think Charlie's going to want to use me in the future because of that, or tell people that he didn't walk away? I dropped off last Christmas 35 doormats to my clients. Now I was lucky. Beth Beyond was struggling and they had these mats really cheap, but I hired a kid to run around and take it to 35 clients' houses. All he did is threw it down, and there was a little note attached to it. "Thank you, and I hope you're happy in your home." That's all it was. All I said was happy holidays. And so hopefully they're going to put that away, and every year they'll put it back out and go, "That was nice of Steve." Simple. It's very simple things. Types of communication. There's phone calls, there's emails, there's text message, there's face-to-face, there's KW's app, there's handwritten communication. Who here is afraid? That's the wrong word. Who here doesn't like cold calling?
I don't.
Yeah, why not?
I actually get really bad anxiety doing it.
Okay. So what can we do different to help? Anybody have any ideas? If you don't like cold calling, anybody want to give a suggestion? What would you do if you didn't want to make phone calls?
Text.
Text. Good idea. Text. Anybody else?
I don't know. Could you do a video?
Okay. That's a good idea, Kima. Go ahead, Denise.
I said email.
Email, absolutely. Face to face. Now let's say this: if you gave somebody a jar of jelly, or you sent them a letter, would you then make it a little bit easier to make that phone call? In other
Yes.
words, yeah, you dropped off. For example, let's say this: you just dropped off a pre-listing packet or a smart chart that tells you about what's going on in the area, or a jar from the Rustic Farms of jelly, or what do we call the golden letter? Those of you that don't know about the golden letter, do a little bit of research on it. It's a great way to create a need to make the phone call, and I'm explaining to you how that works. So the golden letter is basically a letter that goes in a bright colored envelope. It's handwritten with the person's address on it, no return address, first class stamp. I usually put a happy birthday first class stamp on it. Inside is a letter inviting them to is somebody looking to buy, sell, do you know anybody, et cetera, et cetera. It's not asking them. It's saying, you know of anybody. And then what you do is you do a little handwritten note in there. Hey, listen, I'll be giving you a call on Thursday. And then what you do is you call them on Thursday. It's no longer a cold call. Because what you've done is you've given them something of value and contribution. And yeah, those jellies are good. But the smart charts or the valuation of their home. And so then you're calling and you're saying, hey, Mr. Smith, did you get that gold colored envelope that I sent you? So it's not a cold call anymore. Well, yeah, I did. And that was pretty tricky. You putting a happy birthday first class stamp on it. And I usually laugh and go, yeah, absolutely. But you open the envelope, didn't you? It works. Email. Okima was right on. Do videos. The time it takes you to write a well-crafted email, it's shorter just to do a video. There's tons of add-ons that you can use for your Gmail account. iCloud has one. There's one guy, Loop. I think it's called Loop. Yeah, Loop has one. There are tons of them. Keeping Current Matters has one. There's a ton of them out there. And what you do is do a 10-second video. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I looked at your property at 125 Smith Street. I'd love to chat with you about it. That's all you do. You can send it as a text message. You can send it as an email. Very easy. Face to face. The number 2 agent in our office, guess how she gets her business? Anybody want to take a guess?
Email?
No. Anybody
Cold
else?
call.
No.
Door knock.
Boom. She door knocks. She'll do this coming year,
Teresa.
I think. What's that?
Is it Teresa?
Yeah, Teresa Kurtz. Yeah, Teresa Kurtz.
I knew.
She'll do 12 million this year in sales. Maybe even 15.
That's pretty successful.
I would say that's pretty successful. She door knocks between 75 and 100 doors a week.
I thought she was crazy, but I did 2 open houses.
Oh, you did? Tell us about it, Charity.
She door knocked every dang house. It was crazy. And honestly, neighbors showed up. It was my first open house. I'm new, but she let me tag along and it was amazing. People came out of the woodworks and she really did walk door to door to door to door and knocked.
Absolutely. It is, for people who tell me that door knocking doesn't work, and I hear it every day in PC groups, on mastermind groups, it does work. It is the approach that makes it work. It is coming through as non-aggressive, as coming from value and coming from contribution. When I door knocked, I did a lot of door knocking in Baltimore around my listings, and it was easier for me because they were all row houses. So I could crank out a lot of doors really quickly. But I went through a period, and I'll be very honest, where I was hesitant to door knock. So what I did is I developed a door hanger that gave my message.
I like
Because I went through a period that I just was not comfortable doing it. And so what I made the decision to do, I'm not going to door knock, but I'm going to give a door hanger. And that's what I did. So it's another piece. If you don't want to door knock, you still can walk the neighborhoods. It doesn't have to be a door hanger. It can be a smart chart that gives the values of what's going on in the neighborhood. And you can put it in a plastic bag. You can buy them on Amazon. Very inexpensive, very inexpensive. And you can do that and invite, like, for example, for my open houses, that's what I did. I would go around and place them. And a lot of times when I was doing it, people would be outside and I would engage in a conversation. So it's a great way to build it, the face-to-face. It actually is. The KW app, most agents don't even know about the KW app. We revamped some of our stuff in our coaching program with the newer folks. And one of the things we're doing with that is going to start working them having to download the consumer app for KW and also learning how it works. And one of the biggest things that works is handwritten communication. Every time I talk to a client, every single time when it's the first time, they get a card from me. If you walk in my office, and any of you, like there are a few of you that are here from KW Annapolis, you walk in my office, the right side of my desk, there is a pack of thank you cards. And if you come in on Monday and you come in on Friday, there's a lot of missing, because that's how I communicate with my clients. And my clients tell me this: I haven't got something handwritten in forever. So do you think they're going to remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Yvonne, wasn't able, the mic wasn't working, I guess. And she stated you invite them through Messenger or a text to contact you. That'll make it a warm call. Absolutely, Yvonne, that is absolutely true. You can definitely do that. Invite them through that. And it works really, really well. All right. So this is important stuff. So your database will generate leads in the form of new and repeat and referral business. They call it the referral loop. I call it rinse and repeat. So if you do the same thing with every client, they will build your business for you. They will become the raving fans. We have an agent in our office, and she keeps, I think, wanting to retire, but now she's selling not the parents, not the children, the children's children. She's been in business 45 years. She doesn't have to prospect, because she's been in business so long that it's rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Very simple to do. Put it all together. Lead generation never ends. Today, if you have not lead gen, I want you tomorrow, you got to start lead genning, because it never ends. It's best when it's time blocked, and it determines the size of your business. Think about that. If you do not have 100 contacts in your database right now, you're not doing what you need to do. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Each of you has a ton of names in your database. I'm sorry, in your phone. Scott Leroy, the marketing part of KW, they're not part of us, but who we're in partner with, they'll upload your contacts for you. They'll show you how to download them from your phone into a spreadsheet. And then if you're not confident, you just send the spreadsheet to them and they'll load them into your command account. How easy is that? Because lead generation determines the size of your business. You've got to have 200 contacts. I have 1,000. There's one guy in our office, I think he has 7,000 contacts. But guess what? He's never worked them. And we're thinking now that we've got this individual working him, he's going to explode next year. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of a break. And we're going to start back right at 7. So you got about 12 minutes. Go ahead and do what you want to do. You can to try not to log out. Just make sure your mic's off and come back in at 7 o'clock and we'll get started again. Okay.
I guess I'm supposed to turn my camera off because that seems to be a thing to do.
I guess I'm going to get up and walk around. So yeah, I'm turning mine off.
Me too.
All right. I'll be back at 7 o'clock, everybody. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Everybody's break was good. Mine was delish. I had me a duck spring roll and some water. I'm good to go. All right, here we go. All right, so we're gonna move into your sphere of influence. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. We're gonna talk about expanding it. We're gonna talk about best practices, and we're gonna recap. We should this should be probably about 40 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes. All righty. All right, sphere of influence. Where do you find them? They can be close relationships, like close friends and family, more distant connections, like your child's friend's parents, a former coworker, a neighbor, mom's friend from college. I'll give you an example. We have an agent in our office, very successful, has not done much in the way of lead genning. He doesn't have to, because his social circles are such that he can just go out and wine and dine and he ends up with $1 million listings. Yes, that's all he does is luxury. But what he found was he wanted different ways to capture more business. Even though he's highly successful, makes well over 200,000 a year, he wants to go to that next level. And so one of the things we talked to him about was making use of all these different groups and kind of putting them in and starting to use them in smart plans. And what he found was he sent out one to wish everybody a happy new year. And he sent it out to everybody in his database. Some of the people, unbelievably, he hasn't talked to in 15 years. Guess what happened? They responded. Oh my God, it was so great to hear from you. And so all of a sudden, his SOI expanded. Very simple thing for him to do, but it is important that you systematically work your SOI. It is very, very important. You can do it very efficiently and very smart through smart plans in Command. You can do it through your Facebook engagement. There are things that again, the 555 will help you create logarithms so that your stuff shows up on their pages. So it's really important to do. All right, you're categorizing your sphere of influence. Your immediate friend, a family, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, your past coworkers, hobby sports group, teachers, worship, club, volunteer, professional services, financial, legal services, professional services. I mean, look at all these categories. So just raise your hands. How many of you are, unless you're on cameras off, so you can't raise your hands, you're not engaged. Remember this, is that how many of you volunteer or belong to a club? How many of you have neighbors? How many of you have past colleagues, past coworkers? There you go. Professional services, financial legal services. All of these, there is a bold, in bold, there is a, one of the tasks in bold is to contact 100 vendors. 100 vendors. Why do you think that would help you in your business? Anybody? I mean, somebody knows a flower shop, gas stations. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can help your contacts, like your sellers and buyers. You have a contact who can fix roofs and stuff like that.
Absolutely. There are great ways to do that. It's interesting. I was talking to an agent, it was a couple of years ago, and he was talking about getting together a list for people that just moved into the area. Yeah, like where's the best grocery store? Where can childcare? Where are the best childcare? Where is this? Where is this? And where is the best car mechanic? And so I was looking over his list. Now he lives in Annapolis in Heritage Harbor, and the mechanic was in Bowie. And I was like, Brent, what are you doing? He goes, he's the best mechanic. So he went outside of his comfort zone and told people, there's nobody in Annapolis you should go to. You go to this guy in Bowie, he's the best guy. He's going to take care of you. Now, do you think that guy in Bowie, that mechanic, is going to appreciate that? Is going to somehow help him out down the road? Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing you can do with some of your allied resources, your professional services, go to the little mom and pop shop. Say to them, hey, look, I'd love to do a Facebook live with you. You know, what I do is I'll give you some questions in advance. And then what we'll do is we'll just do a live. It'll be like 10 minutes long. I'll ask you some questions about your business, and then I'll post it on my Facebook group. And would you post it on yours? What did we just do there? We helped each other out. We helped each other out. I've gone to during the pandemic. I can't remember the mortgage broker. He and a realtor teamed up to do and got a discount from a pizza place that was struggling. He said, how can we help you get through this pandemic? You go, well, I need sales. So they created a make your own pizza at home. And they sold the kits at cost. So what it did is it helped the business out with some cash flow. But people also ordered other things along with it. So it really helped the business. I've used a mechanic here to discount oil changes where I live. And so when I have a new person that buys in my area, I say to them, I give them a package and it has different things in it. It has a free appetizer from a local restaurant. It has a discounted oil change, has a discount for dry cleaners, different stuff like that. So it really, really works. So professional services, we're talking about doctors, therapists, trainers, financial attorneys, accountants, personal services, nails. Go to nail salon. Hey, would you give a free nail thing or free this if I advertise your business on my page? They're not going to not want to do that. It's very, very simple. Categorizing your sphere of influence, very, very important. You build your SOI day by day. That's it. It takes time. I tell people that are in our program, you should be putting in a minimum of 5 people a day if you're part-time, you're a dual career. If you're a full-time agent, there's no excuse. You're not putting between 10 and 20 people in your database on a daily basis. There is no excuse. You have to build it day by day. Because if you don't do it in December, you're not going to have many sales and you're going to go, what could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? All right. I love this. Bold law. Change the way to look at things, and the things you look at change. What does that mean to anyone here? Anybody want to tell me what they think that means?
Oh, Steve, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that somebody's sharing that with me. Get right back to the right screen. Thank you, though.
Yeah, for a moment, I was thinking it's a very long introduction.
Yeah, I do talk a lot. Yeah, thank you. All right, we there?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. What do you think that means?
kind of like a manifestation. Like if you see things the way you want to see things, you have a positive outlook on things, you work towards goals, things will happen for you.
Absolutely. Let's say this. If you wake up in the morning and you say this, I'm fired up today. I'm gonna kick butt. What are the chances that you're gonna kick butt that day?
I didn't.
If you wake up and you say this, oh my God, I do not want to lead generate today. I can't stand it. I don't know why I'm in real estate. What kind of a day you're going to have?
Bad day.
Bad day. Absolutely a bad day. There's a saying that I've been using lately that I absolutely love. And I stole this from a coach that used to coach me. And the quote kind of goes, I'm kind of summing it up because it's about a 2-minute thing. She said, in the morning you wake up, you're the CEO of your business. At the end of the day, when you look back on your day, do you promote yourself or do you fire yourself?
Ooh,
A lot to unpack. A lot to unpack. And if you ask yourself, because every single morning, guys, this is your business. This is not KW's business. You're a 1099. This is your business. At the end of the day, if you weren't successful, whose fault was it? Yeah,
My own fault.
absolutely. It is absolutely truth. Bold, those of you that are new agents and not familiar with it, Bold is an amazing program. It is one of the few things that KW has that is expensive. I'm not gonna say it's not. I believe it's $800. It runs, I think it's 7 weeks, 1 day a week, a full day, Wednesdays, from 8:30 in the morning until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And Bold really changes the way you think of things. Bold means business objective, a life by design. One of the things about it is it creates this amazing growth in an agent. Agents come out of the program, and I'm not trying to sell it for you because it's expensive, and I don't expect agents just drop $800. But it helps shift your mindset. It gets you into a mindset that you're going to be successful. Change the way you look at things and blah, blah, blah. But what you did with those categories we looked at, you can see there are tons of opportunities in your SOI, tons of opportunities. And I'm sure some of you are thinking about, you know what, that little flower shop around the corner, I like what they're doing there, or that little gift shop, or I was at, what was it called? Honey something farm this weekend down in Lothian. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to them about me doing a Facebook Live with them because they got a great little thing there. They've got, they have usually 15 to 18 vendors once a month on a Sunday in a barn that, really cool stuff, everything from fresh meats to craft vodka to pepper jellies to bracelets. So it's a great thing. And I'm going to go back the first of the month and I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to each of those vendors and figure out a way that we can do business together. And that's what Bold does. Bold causes you to think outside the box, causes you to think in different ways. All right, how do we expand our SOI? Add more personal information to your SOI contacts. The more you have, the better. Birthdays, anniversaries. One of my favorites is I was on a call about a month and a half ago on about how to expand your database and how to use smart plans. And there was a group out of, I want to say, I don't know, Oregon or Washington, and they have so much personal information on their clients that they have smart plans that drive to particular people. And I'm going to give you some examples, and you may laugh at this, but I love it. So they use tags in their smart plans. So they tag a person. For example, they found out that these certain people love cats. So they tag them cats. So every time they have an admin in which you see something that say there's a cat show or there's this or that, she'll tag them and send them a smart plan that tells them about the event. Or if they say there's somebody's into antiquing, they have a separate tag for all the people that are antiquing. So if there's something about antiquing, they send that out to them. And the people are like, wait a minute, this is not about real estate. All they're doing is they're sending me something, they're helping me out, telling me about something. So there's great ways to expand your SOI. Another way is to start doing TikToks and YouTube videos. You'd be incredibly surprised how quickly you expand your SOI by using those simple tools. It is amazing. If you see someone's birthday on Facebook, comment on them. Make them feel good. Everybody likes to feel good about their birthday. Send them a card. What's a card cost you? Buy them in bulk from Amazon. They're very cheap, those birthday cards, anniversary cards. Join the neighborhood groups. There's some great ones out there that you can join, and you can advertise pretty much for free. You can comment on stuff, and it's a great way to get your name and your face out there. You know, calling old friends. It is amazing how that works. Expand. Just ask. All they can do is say no. Hey, look, I'd like to put you in my database. Here's what I used. I'm sorry, what I teach people to use. So let's say you have somebody, it's a friend, a real close friend, and you say to them, and you don't want to ask them for business. I don't want to do that. I feel weird. So what you say is this: Jimmy, look, you know, I got into real estate, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my business going. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to set you up on this smart plan. And what it is, it's only going to come every 2 weeks. And it's just what's called a neighborhood snap. It's going to tell you a little bit about the neighborhood you live in. Or if you'd like, I can set up, you know, to where your forever home wants to be. I know you want to live down near Solomon's Island. I can set you up for that. And every 2 weeks, that's it. It's just an email, and it's a link, and you click on, and it tells you about what's going on. Would you mind if I set that up for you? So I'd like to test it to see how it works and see if you think it is any value. That's pretty easy, isn't it? It's pretty easy. Expand your SOI, casual conversations. I usually, when I go somewhere, I usually give out 20, 30 business cards. When I say in a casual conversation, for example, if I go to a concert, I always give out 20 or 30 cards. I'm standing in line, trying to buy a beer at Merriweather. You're always in a long line. And I always strike up conversations with people. That's what I do. And I always ask them what they do. So what do you do? And naturally, if they're not self-absorbed, they're going to ask me, well, what do you do? Very simple. Very simple. Another thing I do is whenever the lottery's high, I go, but where the people buy lottery tickets, what do you think I do? What would you do if you saw 20 people standing in line at the lottery and it's 800 million? What would you do?
Strike up conversation.
Absolutely. And you know what I do? I say, look, everybody, one of them may hit that 800 million. And if you hit the 800 million, you're going to want a new house, right? And by that time, everybody's laughing. And so what I do is I walk down and give a card to everybody. I'm your realtor if you hit the 800 million. It's just simple stuff. I've struck up conversations in Home Depot, in Lowe's, same thing. Just strike up a casual conversation, and you can get very quickly learning how to do it. You can maneuver it around to them asking you, what do you do for a living? It's a very, very simple thing to do. Do you play games on your phone when you're at an activity? Are you on your phone when you're at an activity? Put the dang phone down. Put it down. Engage with people. There's a guy that I know that never pays for gas at the pump. Why do you think that is?
He goes inside,
And what does he do?
talks to people, and talks to the cashiers there.
Absolutely. That's what he does. And he's always got his name tag on. Always got his hat on. and he's picked up business from it. Not necessarily the person he handed the card to, but they went home and all of a sudden they said, yeah, this guy came in today and he gave me his card. You know, and they just toss it up on the refrigerator. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, somebody says, yeah, man, I need a realtor. I'm ready to buy my first house. Or the parent says, oh yeah, I'm ready to put my house on the market. And guess what? They have a business card on the refrigerator. It works every single time. It works every single time. This is exactly. Folks may not be in the market for a home now, but don't forget that 8.1% of the people you know may be. Think about that, for example. All the people that you run in contact with every day, about 8% of them have a house that they're thinking about putting on the market. But if they don't know you're a real estate agent, are they going to call you? No, they're not going to call you. Another great way is to expand your SOI is to find people with similar interests and values. You love basketball, join a neighborhood league. You want to clean up green spaces in your city, do it. I did a coat drive 2 weeks ago with another agent in our office. And we walked our neighborhoods. She did it over in Severn and I did it where I live here in Bowie. I went door to door, dropped off and said, hey, look, we're doing a coat drive for homeless shelters in the Annapolis and Bowie area. And what I'd like to do is come back next Saturday, just put the coats in a bag at the end of your driveway and we'll pick them up. So if you go by the Annapolis Mall, if you're there, go by the library that's in the mall. A lot of people don't know there's a library in that mall. You're going to see all the coats that Carrie Foley and I collected because they were just about out. And now they're restocked. Now, you don't think that there are those people at that library and the coordinator that we worked with is not going to remember that? That's how you expand your SOI. These casual acquaintances. It really, really makes a huge, huge thing. But you have to come with it, not as a salesy kind of thing. You have to, as Carrie and I talked about it, we said we're coming at it from a community aspect. We're not doing it in a sense to get business. We know it could happen down the road, but Keller Williams is about giving back to community, as you're going to find out on Red Day this spring. It is about it. So what is Carrie and I going to do? In 2 months, we're going to do it again. And this time it'll be a food drive. Our purpose is to do something every 2 months so that our names are constantly in front of these people. And none of it, zero, is about attracting, is about soliciting business. My image about who I am and what I am, it takes about that much of the 8.5 by 11 flyer, because that's not what it's about. And it really, really does work. Join groups that will connect you with people with similar interests and values. We talked about that. The matchups or meetups, excuse me, are really a great way to do it. Volunteering somewhere, volunteering at the animal shelter here in Annapolis, or if you're in PG County, some of they are up in Howard County. There's so many different places to volunteer that will help you. Make sure that what you do is you come from value and come from contribution. That is important, because people will pick it up. They'll pick up if you come too salesy, they're going to pick it up. Absolutely going to pick it up.
Volunteering at schools is great.
Yeah, tell us about that. Have you done that?
Well, you volunteer at schools, you're, working with children or doing whatever, but you get parents and teachers that are seeing you and that you're in touch with and affect.
Absolutely. Join the PTA if you have a kid in the school. That's a great way to do it. I have a friend who's does very well in real estate, and he has an interesting way of doing it. And this is for you when you get a little bit of business going. What he does is he gives $1,000 scholarship to anyone that can sink a half-court basketball shot at the local high school. One person is picked every week for every game, and they get one shot, and that's it. Now, what he does when he first started doing this, he didn't really think it through. He just came out there and said, "This is what I'm doing," and the athletic director, blah blah blah. Now what he does is he has a check that's about 3 feet by 5 feet that he takes out. He does on a plasterboard, or whatever. I'm sorry, foam board. And now what is happening is there's so much excitement because they know there's that realtor that's going to give $1,000 scholarship to my kid if my kid is picked and scores and makes the basket. It's a great way to do it. So I asked him, I said, how many times have you given away the $1,000? Like 3 times in like 7 years, 6 years, whatever it was. So, and there's ways around it. You know, the people that give away the cars, do you think that they're paying for that car? Does anybody know the story about the car giveaways? There's an insurance policy that if the person makes a shot, the insurance company buys the car. But if he doesn't make the shot, the realtor has to pay whatever the fee is for that insurance. In other words, you can bet on anything in Vegas, you can insure anything in an insurance company. So that's how they do it. So they're not giving away a $25,000 car. And of course, the insurance company is hoping and praying that it's not gonna happen. All right. So we've talked about, hang on, get the right page here. Wear your colors. Also, we talked about that. Make sure you wear your colors. I forgot that part. So make sure you do it. Wear your swag, your KW swag everywhere you go. It makes things very, very different. Referrals, really big in your command tab. There is a referral tab where you can add people to your referral base. So what I did when KW and command first did referrals, what I went to every major market in the entire United States, and I sent out a referral partner request. Phoenix, San Jose, Philadelphia, New York City, Brooklyn, New Orleans, Tallahassee. I went all the way through it. And so I have partnerships with agents all over the United States. So that if they have a referral for the Washington, D.C. metro area, they're going to go into the referral network and they're going to say, oh my gosh, Steve Thomas, we're partners. And they're going to contact me. So it's a great way to do that. Go in one time, take 40 minutes, lunch one day or on a weekend, just sit down and just send out referral requests. Just sit there and do it. No harm, no foul. It works really, really well. Your SOI can give you referrals. We talked about that earlier when we talked about how to get referrals across the country using For the Love of Old Houses. It's a perfect way to do it. And these are some scripts. I'm building my business on people I know and the people they know. Do you know of anyone from family or friends, work, or your neighborhood you belong to who's thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? And that's basically a longer version of what I say. I'd be pleased to be a resource. If you hear of someone with a real estate need, will you keep me in mind? Now, this little dialogue works in another way. Lead genning. One of my favorite ways to lead gen is to go to yard sales. Now, what would be your approach if you went to a yard sale? Anybody, what would you do if you were going to a yard sale? How would you solicit business?
Would you ask them if they moving or something like that?
Yeah, you could do that. Absolutely. What else?
Make note of the home that you're at.
Yeah.
Oh, you have such a nice home. This is such a great place.
Okay. One of the things that I do is I usually will go, when I go to a yard sale, I walk around first and I'll pick up something to buy, you know, usually a book or a record or something for my granddaughter that I think she'll like. And I'll walk up and I'll, you know, in the process of doing the business, paying them for the stuff, I usually say, hey, listen, you know, I don't know if you know anybody that's looking to list their house, but I've got tons of buyers. Would you mind if I left you these smart charts that tell a little bit about what's going on in the neighborhood? Hang on 1 second. I got to turn off an alarm. Sorry. would you know of anybody that's thinking about listing a property? So I never ask them. I never compliment them on their house, unless it's a really gorgeous house. I might. What I'm doing is I'm trying to not put them on the spot. And then what I'm doing is I'm leaving them something of value, something of contribution that they can look at. And what's interesting is I've gotten calls from just dropping that off. Another way that I do it is I call it popping. And what it is that I go to, on election day, what I do is I go to my local precinct where I vote. I spend probably 4 to 5 hours giving out my smart chart and a bag of smart popcorn. And what I say is, thanks for popping by to vote. That's it, nothing else. They get a value of the smart chart and they get some popcorn. And I usually get a smile and a chuckle from them. It really, really works well. It really, really does. All right. Lead gen best practices. All right. You got to track your sources. You got to audit your sources. You got to diversify your database. You got to be consistent. It doesn't do any good to have lead sources and not track what you're doing with them. I know there's a lot of lead programs out there. There's referral programs that take your money at settlement. There's different ones you can purchase on your own. There's branding, but you got to track your sources. You have to audit your sources and make sure that what you're paying for, if you are, is beneficial. I've seen people throw money, just throw money away, not keeping track of it. And when you say to them, hey, you know, how did that lead program go? I don't know. Well, how much did you spend at it? I don't know, a couple thousand. And you don't know what you made off of it. So it's important to keep track of it. So you've got to audit your sources and then figure out what your top member. We're talking about the funnels. You only want to have 2 or 3 funnels when you're getting going. And honestly, as an established agent, that's all you need. Because if you're working it, it's going to be fine. You got to diverse your database, but you got to make sure that you don't do it too much. Okay, you got to make sure you don't do it too much. So do the 2 to 3. But by having a diverse database, it gives you more opportunities for success. And absolutely be consistent. That means lead gen every single day. 2 hours. Full-time agents, you should be doing 2 hours every single day. Part-timers, you got to try to fit it in. I know it's tough, but you have to do it. You got to time block. This is critical. You time block your lead generation time. And what that means is on Sunday or on Saturday, you prepare. What is my mindset for the week? You're going to practice, you're going to do your script, and you develop your call list. It doesn't do you any good on Tuesday when you block that at 10 o'clock that you go, okay, what am I going to do today? You do it on Sunday or you do it on Saturday. You sit down, you put down on Monday from 10 to 12, I'm going to lead prospect in Severn. On Tuesday from 10 to 12, and you put it on your calendar. Doesn't do any good if you don't put it on that calendar. I'm going to go to Edgewater, and I'm going to door knock in Edgewater for 2 hours. On Wednesday, I'm going to go around my that agent's listing, and I'm going to door knock around his listing because I know he does it. And you can pick up. And that's why Teresa Kurtz, who we talked about earlier in the conversation, is so successful because she door knocks around her listings. And she picks up listings from door knocking around her listings. You got to take action. You got to have conversations. You got to be having conversations on a daily basis. I said this to an agent the other day. We were looking at their business plan for 2023. And I said, you're not having enough conversations. You're not working your database. What are you doing all day? Only you guys can answer that question. Sometimes I'll say to an agent that didn't do what they were supposed to, I joke and I say, you probably spent the day watching Judge Judy instead of trying to make money. And that's not good. It's not going to help you. The only way you're going to be successful is to do these things. You got to maintain that database and you got to follow it up. You've got to work it with your smart plans. It's so critical. So practice also with a partner. Find somebody in the office that you can practice your conversations, your scripts with. And so what I say is find somebody just 2 days a week, 3 days a week, that you'll do it for 15 minutes. We have a couple of guys that we used to do it. We do script practice in the morning, 8:30, 8:45. And there were two agents. As soon as that they hung up, one of them called the other one and they didn't even say hi to each other like, hey man, what's going on? They went right into their script. So there was no conversation. You went right into the script. And I was talking to one of the agents that did it. He's about 6 months ago. And he said, you know what, Steve, I don't use those scripts. But he said, all the information's in my brain so that when I get into a situation where I have an objection or I have a condition, all that script practice comes out and I'm able to communicate and overcome the objections. Conditions is hard to overcome, but objections are fairly easy to do. Make sure, as I said, to have that list prior, keeping your database updated. All right, battle distractions. Protect your time block. What does build a bunker mean? Anybody?
Kind of like create a shell for yourself so that way no distractions come from the outside.
Absolutely, exactly. You got to figure out a way to build that bunker where you won't be distracted. Now, for me, I can't do it at home. I don't do well time blocking at home. I don't. My bunker is my office when I shut the door and I have the do not disturb sign on my door. That's my bunker. And when you see that door close and you see the blue door hanger, that means do not touch that door. That man will not open that door. Because what I'm doing is the most important part of my job. I'm lead genning. I'm building my business, or I'm building an agent's business, which is mostly what I do today. What do you think store provisions means? Simple. Have supplies, materials, snacks, beverages. Why do you want to keep them with you? So you don't leave and go to the refrigerator. That's it, plain and simple. Keeps you focused, keeps you on task. Because the moment that you leave the bunker, what happens?
A whole bunch of distractions.
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. You're right. Absolutely, Teresa and Ray. Absolutely, that's exactly what happens. Has that happened to you guys?
Yes. Lots.
Lots. It is a problem. You know, it's I as an agent in the office who I call friend, and Tim, his name is Tim James, and Tim, when he goes to lead gen, his partner, his cats, his mother-in-law, all know, do not disturb Tim when Tim is in the bunker. Do not disturb him, because what he's doing is he keeps all this stuff there. I'm sure I do the same thing. I fill up my water. I have my licorice. I'm ready to go, and I don't leave. What do you think sweep for minds means?
That means to look for any distractions and get rid of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Turn off your phone. Shut down your email. Just hang on 1 second here. Sweep your mind. So it's distractions. So, you know, turning off your phone, shutting down your email, exit your internet browser. I'm guilty of this. I tend to keep my email open because I've got 30 some agents in coaching that I'm trying to try to stay in contact with. But what I realize is that's a distraction. And so what I do is I shut down my email. I take my phone, I put it on do not disturb, and then I get down to business. It's what distractions do you guys have in your life? What are things that you find get you distracted from lead gen or just doing your job?
Newborn babies.
Newborn babies will do that, won't they? Absolutely.
Join us because we do the phone. We do the phone call using our phone. I use my cell phone to call.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. Anybody else? What are some of the distractions to get you?
Cat meowing at you for attention.
Akima, we're both cat people, and absolutely. I have one that's running around screaming at me right now. Absolutely, but I'm ignoring him. Enlist support. I like this. Tell those most likely to seek you out what you're doing and when you're going to be available. And this is so true. Have your partners in your life, your friends in your life, make sure that they know that you're not going to be available during the time when you time block. And I also tell my clients this, and I learned this from someone else who said this. His name is Rob Daniel. He is a mega agent in Florida, semi-retired now, does mostly teaching. But what he says is this to his clients, the buyers and the sellers. Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, I'm not available from 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. And I'm also not available on Sundays. And of course, Sundays is my day with my family, and that's why I'm not available. And then he stops. And they go, well, why aren't you available from 10 to 12 Monday through Friday? Because that's when I'm trying to find a buyer for your house. And if I pick up the phone, if you call me and I pick up the phone, you fire me. That's what he says. And he says, I never pick up the phone. I don't look at the phone. I just move through my day.
It's a good catch.
What's that again?
I said it's a good catch.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think so far? What do you think of what we're talking about? Any thinking about how you're about lead genning, how maybe your thought process is changing?
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think, Vendor?
So coming from San Diego, I used to door knock, but I didn't like knocking on the doors. So I did get door hangers, but I still would knock on the doors. And until today, I didn't think it was okay to just leave the door hanger without knocking. So I think that is something I might try.
Yeah, and what you would do, Vendora, is do it like on a Saturday or a Sunday when you know people may be out and about. So what happens then is you may get a conversation going without knocking on the door because somebody's out working on their car, or somebody's out working on their grass, or somebody's pulling weeds from the flower beds, or somebody's outside playing soccer with their kids. That works really well. There's nothing wrong with just dropping off information. I do this. I tell agents all the time, like with example with FSBOs and expireds, if you're afraid of them, just drop off a packet. That's all you got to do. Drop off your packet about how you would help that FSBO sell the property, or how you would help that expired sell the property. Just do it. It's very, very simple. What are you feeling different about so far? Anything that you've listened to so far that may think, yeah, I might want to change how I'm doing things, or I think I can do this?
I have one. This is Latrina.
Hi.
What I got was being persistent, because I'm a person probably do a couple days or maybe a week or two, and I'm like, I'm not seeing the results, and then I also have like trying to do several things at one time as well. So it's being persistent and just have like 3 sources and stuff instead of trying to do everything, because it do overwhelm me. That makes sense. I don't know why. When you said it was like, oh, I do need to change that, and really protect my time as well, because it seems like, build that bunker per se. I really do need to do that because it seems like I always have an emergency. Like someone's always have an emergency that I gotta take care of. But if I really, if I want things to change, I gotta do something different. You know what I mean? I gotta do the lead gen. That's very important to the business. So I got to make it happen, basically. So I really want to thank you for that.
Yeah, there's someone just popped, Yvonne popped in this. I like this. We're talking about different ways to expand your SOI. Volunteer your grandchild's concession so the parents can enjoy watching the game. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way to do it. Anybody else?
You talk about audit your lead source. How do you do the audit of your lead source?
How do I do leads, find leads, you mean?
Audit.
I'm sorry?
You said audit, track your lead source, audit
Yes.
your lead source, diversify
Okay.
your database.
Yeah,
So how
absolutely.
do you
So
do
you can track your lead sources by by setting up a spreadsheet. For example, if you use what's called ZBuyer, you can track it in ZBuyer. I'm sorry, in a spreadsheet of how much money you spent versus how many leads you received. Let's say for the ones that cost you money, or the leads that you pay at closing. But there are other lead sources out there that take money up front. For example, Adware is one that is more of a branding software that runs about $60 a month. And all they do is get your impressions out all over the region that you live in. So that's one way to track it. If you're in Command, you can also track your leads also there. By using the smart plans, you can see what's going on with that. I use spreadsheets. I'm old fashioned, so I use spreadsheets for mine. And so when I did quite a bit of business, I had an admin that would track on our team would track the resources and whether or not they were worth it. So we would, at the end of a quarter, we would take a look at how much we spent and what our return was. So what we were always looking for was 3 to 5% conversion rate. So if you have 100 contacts, you should get between 3 to 5% of that in closed deals. And that's kind of the number I would shoot for, would be the 3 to 5.
3 to 5% per 100?
Yeah, and there's a lot of tools and stuff like that out there that you can use to help you become accountable. I mean, I had that alarm that went off. That I had to run over and shut off my phone was an alarm for me to do something that I do every night at 7:30. What do you think that is? What do I do every night at 7:30?
Linda.
No, I decide whether or not I fire myself or promote myself today.
I thought you had to feed the cat.
No, it is whether or not I fire myself or promote myself. And it goes off 7 days a week. And today I promoted myself.
Okay.
Good.
All right. That's pretty much it. We're pretty much done. Any questions or anything that I didn't go over that you might need some help with?
I have a question. For someone like me who wants to get into rentals, is your lead generating for rentals?
There really isn't. I mean, as far as a system as such, what I would suggest if you wanted to do rentals is to look at apartment complexes, particularly townhouse communities, because eventually they're all going to be buyers, hopefully. And one of the great things for that would be a great thing to do would be to do the door hanging.
Okay.
Absolutely, would be a great thing to do because where I live, there are a lot of the condos are rented. They're not owned by the folks. And so it's a great way to do it. Another way to work rentals is also to take a look at where people are moving to and contact. For example, if you go into Remind or RPR, you can look at absentee owners, and you can get contact information actually of people that live in rental properties that are renting, and just say you could start out saying, hey, you looking to move into another better property, or are you looking to buy? I would do it both ways, because every renter can turn into a buyer if they're coached correctly. They just have to be coached. Anybody else?
You.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I think that's it. I got a couple of you still awake. I thank you. If there's anything else, I'm going to put my contact information in. And if you have any questions about our script practice or anything else I went over that you weren't clear on, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you out. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we're going to be heading out for the night. And I want to thank everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a great audience. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good
Thanks, Steve.
class.
All right. Thank you much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you got it. Bye-bye.